NBA, Draft Underdog becomes basketball's ultimate lockdown star. Episode 71. With the referee's whistle, the second quarter of the game officially began. Because the opening jump ball is the Suns' possession. So this section is the Knicks' offense. According to the previous game, Harrington brought the bench in the second quarter. But today, D'Antoni didn't replace Harrington, but Hill. On the one hand, D'Antoni didn't want Harrington to play. Another reason is the advice Lin Dong gave. Hill moves faster and has some projection. He comes on the pitch and is good for opening up space on the inside. Create opportunities for outside players to break through. In the end, D'Antoni listened to Lin Dong's advice and replaced Hill early. Because David Lee wasn't there, and neither was Nate. Therefore, the heavy responsibility of attacking fell on Lin Dong. Defending him was Richardson. Monk Richard is 1.98 meters tall and has a good attack, but the defense often leaks. In the face of Richardson, Lin Dong directly took a tough breakthrough approach. Since the system gave him this gifted body, he had to make good use of it. Lin Dong held the ball outside the three-point line, there was no change, and after defending the ball, he directly started the breakthrough. Richard didn't think too much about it, and he went on defense against his body. But when Lin Dong's body hit him, he was shocked. This Nima is James, after all. He only felt that his chest had been knocked down by a large rock, making a dull sound. However, he still did not give up the defense and blocked the route of Lin Dong's attack with his body. Fry saw Lin Dong break through and wanted to make up for it, but his own defender Hill withdrew to the free throw line. Whether to supplement the defense or to focus on his own defenders, such a choice suddenly appeared in front of him. In the end, he still chose to make up for the defense. However, just as he was making up for it, Lin Dong passed the ball to Hill. Hill catches the ball and shoots from mid-range. Fry, because he didn't know much about Hill, didn't know much about his style. At this time, the seat was vacant, and he could only pray that Hill would not enter. However, Hill lived up to expectations and hit the shot steadily. Lin Dong used to high-fived him in celebration. Come on. Wait and keep fighting, Seal nodded happily. It seemed that Lin Dong was already an old player of the team, and receiving the praise of such an old player made him feel confident. D'Antoni also nodded in satisfaction at this time. Because of Harrington and David Lee before, he didn't give Hill many opportunities. As a result, he just came on today and scored a goal that did not disappoint him. Switch sideways, the Suns attack. It is still Lin Dong who is the main defense against Nash. Because Smalls wasn't on the court, Nash had a little less passing options. He wanted to try to use his breakthrough to create opportunities. However, after trying a little, he gave up. Lin Dong's defensive area is too large, and when he stretches out his hand, he can't even see the basket. And defensively, and fast on the feet. It's hard to find opportunities to attack through changes in speed or tempo. So he no longer thinks about breaking through. Instead, he dribbled with one hand and directed his teammates to run with the other. Fry suddenly took a step sideways and made a cover pose. At the same time, Richardson began to run in Fry's direction under the basket. Lin Dong paid attention to Nash's eyes and found that he was looking to this side. So, he used the afterlight to skim to this side. I saw Fry doing cover. So he went straight and moved sideways under his feet and sealed Nash's passing route to that side. He didn't think about stealing, but in this way, he let Nash know that the ball was not good to pass. Nash saw Lin Dong suddenly blocking the passing route, and his heart froze. This kid wants to stop me from passing? One side is blocked, and correspondingly, the other side is empty. Nash can choose to pass the ball to the other side, or break through. But, Linder doesn't mind. If you can stop Nash's best choice in the first place, his defense is successful. Richardson ran into position, but Nash didn't pass the ball, so he ran back and waited for other opportunities. One passing route was blocked, and Nash had to look to the other side. But there was no chance. Nash simply thought of a breakthrough. After all, Lin Dong had already made a way for him. So he rushed inside, but Hill blocked in front of him and blocked his attack. With this meeting, Lin Dong returned to Nash again. In desperation, Nash had to retreat outside the three-point line again and reorganize. It's just that it took a lot of time to come out. At this time for the offensive is running out. So he simply called Richardson directly to block the demolition. Because both of them are outside linemen, after blocking and changing defenses, there is no chance of misalignment. But Nash had no choice. As long as the defender in front of him is not Lin Dong, he still has a chance to play alone. Lin Dong's words, he was really a little helpless. Richardson came to block the demolition because Richardson's outside threat was greater. Therefore, Lin Dong could no longer choose to cover around the front at this time. He had to switch defenses, and he went to keep an eye on Richardson. And Dwyane defended Nash. The person in front of him was finally no longer Lin Dong, and Nash suddenly felt confident. Immediately start under your feet and start the breakthrough. A disguise left Dwyane behind. Then jump on one foot and ride a horse to shoot arrows. However, a tall figure suddenly appeared and jumped straight up. One flew the basketball fan. D'Antoni saw this scene off the field and clapped his hands. Hill, nice job. Lin Dong really wasn't wrong, Hill's movement can provide considerable help to the team. The basketball was fanned directly to the midcourt position. Lin Dong, step on. Like a cheetah starting, the first one rushed up to pick up the basketball. Richardson also wants to chase. However, Lin Dong strode and instantly opened the distance between the two by a large position. Almost a second or two of effort, Lin Dong had already arrived at the free throw line. A small step inward from the free throw line. Lin Dong kicked the ground with both feet, held the basketball in both hands, and drew a large circle in the air. Finally, it slammed into the basket. Big windmill slam dunk. It's so stretchy, this ball is beautifully buckled. Hill cap Nash, Lin Dong, fast attack windmill dunk. This team has shown me vitality and explosive athleticism. The live commentary screamed with emotion. And the fans are also crazy shouting and screaming. Good ball. Beautiful. There were even fans who couldn't enjoy watching it, shouting off the field, one more. The game has come to this point, and the result of the game has basically been announced. The Suns' bombardment tactics, under D'Antoni's tactics and Lin Dong's defense, are almost impossible to fight. Xiaoxi was also wrapped up all the time, and he couldn't exert his maximum power. But the Knicks' offense is indeed diverse. At the end of the game, the Knicks easily won 110-98 against the Suns. Achieved 6 straight wins. Lin Dong shot 9 of 16 from the field, scoring 26 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. On the Suns' side, Nash shot 2 of 5 and had only the last 5 assists. The lowest record of the season. The highest scorer on the team was Hill, who scored 18 points on 4 of 14 three-point shooting. At this time, there was a person sitting in the box of the stadium, his eyes flickering. Episode 72, the person in the box was Mills. Although D'Antoni told him what he thought that day. And he also thinks this plan is feasible. However, there are still some worries after all. Let a 21-year-old Xiagua player, or the undrafted draft proposed by the Development League, be the core of the team. That's a bit crazy. However, this game is over. Mills has hardened the idea. He wants to build a new team around Lin Dong. If you want to say the happiest person right now, it must be D'Antoni's. After so long away from the Suns, he went from being the head coach of the team that had been competing for the championship to the head coach of the team that had always been fish belly. The gap between this can be imagined. More than once, he regretted his choice. However, there is no regret medicine in the world. So what he wants to do is how to build the Knicks into a team that has always been strong. However, the sky did not go as expected. For 2 seasons, it was nothing. In the intervening period, the Knicks have played the Suns a total of 4 times. The record is 0 wins and 4 losses. Watching the team I built and defeating my current team is even more uncomfortable. Finally, today, he won. Relying on the future core of the team, relying on their own knowledge of the bombardment tactics, they won. It's so good to win. He walked up to Gentry and shook his hand. Gentry was also not unconvinced, and said with a smile, "We lost tonight, and the heart of losing is convinced." D'Antoni responded, "It's just that we were lucky tonight and scored more goals." Gentry shook his head, "Although the score didn't lose much, but you did lose tonight, your strategy is excellent." At this time, what D'Antoni has to do is be humble. No, it's just gambling, but the bet is won, and that doesn't mean anything. Then Gentry glanced at the Knicks bench, and there was appreciation in his eyes. Said to D'Antoni's, "You guys really picked up the treasure, sign in for a player like Lin Dong. He's a good player with a lot of potential." At this time, D'Antoni smiled even more happily. "I'm happier than when I just praised myself. It's like hearing someone praise his child at home, and now he is no longer modest. It's really good, there's a lot of room for improvement, and the biggest takeaway this season is him." After a few casual words, the two separated. Gentry sighed. Some regrets. If only Lin Dong were on his team, and one person raised the team's defense to a higher level. It can also enrich the fighting style of positional warfare. This is exactly what the team needs. Maybe with Lin Dong, this year's championship will have a show. However, hey, sighing, he returned to the dressing room. Later, Nash, Xiaoxi, and other Suns players came over to greet D'Antoni one by one. Although I am no longer in the same team, the relationship between them is still quite deep. Lin Dong walked back to the locker room, and many fans were above the player tunnel, stretching out their hands and shouting Lin Dong's name. As he walked there, he raised his hand and gave the fans a high five. Suddenly, he stopped. The gaze fell on a young man with a gutter head and an expressionless face. Isn't this Leonard? He came to watch the game. Leonard was an 11-year draft, and at this time, he was a college student. Hearing his teammates say that the Knicks had a player who was similar in size and sharp defense, he wanted to come and see it. I want to learn better defensive skills and increase my confidence. Seeing Lin Dong looking at him, Leonard was stunned. Lin Dong raised his hand and wanted to give Leonard a high five. Although Leonard didn't know why, he still stretched out his hand. The surrounding fans looked at Leonard with envy. They didn't know why Lin Dong treated such a facial paralysis fan so specially. Lin Dong walked back to the dressing room. Leonard was stunned in place, looking at the hand that high-fived Lin Dong. After a long time, a smile appeared on his paralyzed face. He himself thinks it's a legacy, a defensive legacy. In college, he was the team's scoring leader. But the coach told him that his scoring ability would no longer be an advantage when he entered the NBA. So hopefully he can make his defense stronger. In this way, after entering the NBA, even if the score is not so good, relying on defense, you can also become the workhorse of a team. He was still a little skeptical before. But after watching the game live, he thought it was a good idea. And from it, I saw the charm of defense. This kind of robbery defense, this kind of focus on the game, all fascinate him. In the player tunnel, a person suddenly blocked in front of Lin Dong. The man stretched out his hand and looked at Lin Dong with a smile. Hello, Lin Dong, I'm Nike, my name is Mike, congratulations on winning this game. It turned out to be Nike. Lin Dong also stretched out his hand. Thank you. Lin Dong picked up a lot of this microphone in front of him. The figure management is not bad, about 30 years old, the hair is combed with oil, and he is dressed in a straight suit. Coupled with the professional smile, people can look at the past, and there is a sense of business. After congratulations, Mike cut straight to the point. The purpose of this visit, our Nike company is very optimistic about you, want to cooperate with you, this is my business card. If it's convenient, do you have time to find a place to talk? Lin Dong took the business card. Assistant General Manager of Nike's New York branch. Partnering with sports brands and signing sneaker endorsements is one of the main sources of revenue for NBA players. And Nike is also the biggest sports brand. Lin Dong naturally would not refuse. He put away his business card and said with a smile, okay, then I'll go find a cafe first, and then wait for you there. Good. The two exchanged phone calls, and Mike left. After Mike left, he called Blake. General Manager, I have already made an appointment with Lin Dong, wait for him to come to me. Have confidence? Yes, very much. He's a kid, very easy to deal with, well, remember how to do it. Remember, I just took the initiative to find him, gave him enough face, and I will talk to him well later, and I can definitely sign him. Very good. I am waiting for your good news, hung up the phone. Mike walked confidently to the parking lot, then drove to a more upscale cafe near the arena. Lin Dong returned to the locker room and told Nate about Mike's coming to him. After all, he is not familiar with this kind of thing, and it is necessary to consult others. Mike? That man is a vampire, and you have to watch out for him, he's nowhere near as kind as he seems. Lin Dong nodded, I feel the same way, I always feel that his smile is a little hypocritical. Haha, Mike definitely can't think of his carefully maintained smile, it is completely seen through by you at a glance. Hypocrisy, this word is used well. After that, Nate called his agent, Mark, and asked him to come over now. A fledgling player like Lin Dong will inevitably suffer a loss against an old fritters like Mike. So he asked his agent to follow Lin Dong and strive to help Lin Dong fight for more benefits. Mark, you already met last time, wait for you to take Mark with you, he knows how to protect your interests. Episode 73, at the press conference after the game, D'Antoni still brought Lin Dong to attend. Lin Dong had just appeared, and all the cameras were pointed at him. Clicked and clicked. Under the flash, Lin Dong's body was illuminated exceptionally brightly. After the two sat down, reporters raised their hands and wanted to ask questions. D'Antoni casually pointed to a reporter who looked better. The reporter immediately stood up excitedly and asked questions. Coach D'Antoni's, you won against the powerful Suns tonight, what do you think is the key to winning? D'Antoni grinned, then replied. The key is how to contain the Suns' offense, their offensive efficiency is at the top level in the league and their average points per game are also in the top. So how to prevent them from playing an efficient attack has become a problem for us. We sent the best defensive players to defend Nash for this, and as you can see, it was a very good job. After speaking, he glanced at Lin Dong. The cameras in the hands of the reporters were aimed at Lin Dong at the same time, and they shot frantically again. D'Antoni turned his head and continued. Nash is the engine of the Suns' offense, and his successful defense directly reduces the efficiency of shelling tactics. The second is to defend his blocking, they have two of the best partners in the league, Nash and Smalls. To do this, we directly gave up one of their outside lines and went to pack chassis. It worked well, and in this game I used Hill, who was better at the game, and he did a good job of protecting the box, and then we won the game. After speaking, he shrugged. The meaning seems to be that simple. After answering the first question, the reporter sat down satisfied. Then many journalists began to raise their hands and ask questions. D'Antoni again pointed to a reporter. The reporter asked, "Now that the team has won 6 in a row, what are your goals for the next season?" Faced with this question, D'Antoni almost didn't think about it and spoke directly. Playoffs. The playoffs, of course, although we're still some way from playoffs, but I believe that the morale and strength of the team can make it to the playoffs or even higher. The team now has a record of 24 wins and 29 defeats, ranking 10th in the East. The 8th-placed Heat are 4 wins away. There are 29 regular season games left, and judging from the current results, it is still very promising to enter the playoffs. If the Knicks had said their goal was the playoffs, few believed they could do it. Just like Lin Dong said at the beginning, when his goal was the playoffs, few people on the team believed it. But now it's different, they're on a 6-game winning streak. The momentum is like a rainbow, and it directly plays the longest winning streak in the league at this stage. Now, no team in the NBA dares to underestimate them. D'Antoni's answer was almost expected by journalists. But hearing him say it so confidently, they still felt different. Next, another reporter asked a question. It's coming to the All-Star game, but the Knicks don't have a single player in the main game except for Nate, who participated in the slam dunk contest. Do you think any players on your team should make it to the main game? This question is a bit difficult to answer. D'Antoni also thought for a while before speaking. The selection of players in the All-Star game is based on the level of preference of the fans, and the degree of liking is determined by the fans based on the performance of the players. In the first half of the season, the team was doing badly, and if a player was selected as an All-Star, I didn't feel normal. However, next year can still be a prospect. Lin Dong is very promising, his performance is worthy of an All-Star. That might make David Lee less happy, though. After all, he is the boss of this team. But D'Antoni has completely not hidden his fancy for Lin Dong. And the team will start to build tactics around Lin Dong next, and this matter will soon be known to everyone. There is no need to hide. When the reporter heard this answer, it was as if he had discovered something incredible. Although Lin Dong played well, is it really good to ignore David Lee like this? So, immediately a reporter asked. What do you think of David Lee? D'Antoni was embarrassed. It depends on the team's record. He also has a chance, but I am more optimistic about Lin Dong. The reporter then asked a few more questions like this. However, D'Antoni's answers were relatively simple, and he obviously did not want to continue with this question. The reporter also saw this, so he turned the topic to Lin Dong. May I ask, Lin Dong, you have scored more than 20 points in 5 consecutive games. How long do you think this will last? Lin Dong moved the microphone closer to his mouth. He replied with a serious face, I didn't deliberately score. When I had a chance to score, I would seize it. In fact, sometimes I enjoy defending more, and defending Nash tonight has benefited me a lot. So with a score of more than 20, I can't guarantee that maybe the next game will be broken, who knows? The reporter continued to ask questions. Before you defended against the attackers of the opposing team, did you feel differently about defending Nash tonight? Lin Dong pursed his mouth. It's fun. Nash is a master of passing, master of possession, and when defending scorers, I just have to stop them from moving away from the basket. But Nash is different, he is a threat much more than that, he can lead his teammates through passes. So it's hard to defend him, since you have to defend his scores, you have to defend his defense, and if you have the opportunity, I want to train with him and learn from his experience. After Lin Dong finished speaking, D'Antoni began to think. If you let Lin Dong learn from Nash, learn Nash's passing. Lin Dong, who has offense and defense, and passes, just thinking about it, he feels excited. So he decided to call Nash when he got back tonight. Ask Nash if he wants to. If you can, the All-Star game is a good opportunity. At this point, Nash and his teammates walked out of the arena. Journalists are already waiting for him here. When he saw Nash come out, he greeted him. I'm sorry you lost tonight, what do you think about tonight's game? Nash is the league's notoriously good-natured temper. If there is a player with a hot temper, after the team loses, when someone asks him how he feels, he may be very angry. But Nash stopped very friendly, his face full of indifference. It's not nice for the team to lose, but there's no problem losing tonight, because they do better than us. They did a lot of preparation, both offensively, including defensively, very targeted. So next, we need to work harder. The reporter continued to ask questions. Your performance tonight is somewhat unsatisfactory compared to the past, does it have anything to do with Lin Dong's defense? Speaking of Lin Dong, a hint of appreciation appeared on Nash's face. Lin Dong is a good player, his defense is very smart. I barely had any good shots under his defense, and he was very resourceful in blocking my passes, so our attacks were always tough. So my performance tonight is directly related to his defense. After saying this, the reporter thought about asking questions. As a result, Nash himself continued, I am looking forward to Lin Dong's performance behind. This player will definitely achieve very good results in the future. If you have the opportunity, I would like to talk to him. Episode 74. After the press conference, Lin Dong and Mark went to the cafe where Mike was. The cafe is fancy, and there are very few people. A great place to talk about things. Seeing Lin Dong coming, Mike immediately stood up. At the same time, he also noticed Mark next to Lin Dong. He knew Mark, who was an agent for several players. He had been in contact with Mark when he was talking about cooperation with other players before. Lin Dong and Mark sat down opposite Mike. Mike said, this coffee shop is one of the best coffee shops over there, and the coffee tastes great. After he finished speaking, he called the waiter with one hand. The self-made Lin Dong ordered 2 cups of the best coffee here. After ordering coffee, Mike took the initiative to provoke the conversation. Lin Dong, I watched your game tonight, and it was very beautiful. Opponents like the Spurs have been defeated by you, and your form is getting better and better. If you continue to play like this, your hopes of making the playoffs are very big. Mike thought the Knicks would lose, and he wanted the Knicks to lose. In this way, he had more words to strike at Lin Dong. But the result was a little unexpected, but it didn't matter, he was still full of confidence. Lin Dong smiled, thank you. Seeing that Lin Dong didn't react much, Mike continued. You also performed very well, and you scored more than 20 points. So, we at Nike value you very much and want to cooperate with you. You know, we at Nike are the biggest sports brand, and more than 90% of the players in the NBA are the face of our company. Lin Dong nodded. Of course he knew that. Even if you don't play basketball, the one who doesn't know Nike. Moreover, even in his previous life, he was a big fan of basketball. In this life, I am a professional footballer. For a brand like Nike, it is naturally familiar. The cooperation between Nike and the NBA is also very understanding. And there have been rumors that the NBA sometimes takes extra care of Nike spokesperson. Regular season MVPs and finals MVPs will basically choose Nike spokesperson. The most convincing proof of this conjecture is the finals MVP in the 14-15 season. Curry averaged 26 points, 5.2 rebounds, 6.3 assists, and 1.8 steals per game. Iguodala had 16.3 points, 5.8 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1.3 steals. In that series, Iguodala's role was really important. He was more successful defensively against James. But no matter how you look at it, Curry is even better. And Curry was the absolute core of the Warriors at the time, and the defense he faced was not comparable to Iguodala. And even more outrageous, among the votes for the finals MVP, Iguodala had 7 votes. Even the losing James had 3 votes, but Curry didn't have 1. Although this matter has never been proven. But it has also caused endless conjecture among fans. And Harden's regular season MVP. When he had a good record, the MVP was selected based on personal data. When his stats are good, the MVP selection criterion becomes the team's record again. All this is because Curry and Harden are not Nike spokespersons. I know that, Nike has a lot of influence in the NBA. Lin Dong responded simply. Speaking of the Nike brand, Mike is still full of confidence. Then he said, so if you sign us Nike, it will be of great help to your personal exposure and popularity. This is about the brand effect. As for the technology, quality, etc. of sneakers, I don't add more embellishments. Lin Dong nodded again and smiled. Okay, I understand. Seeing that Lin Dong did not speak, Mike thought that he had already yearned for Nike incomparably. Picked up the coffee and took a sip. Then continued, although you have been very good lately, you have played too few games and have not fully proved yourself. Then because there are too few games at the moment, your current popularity is not too high, but as a business, how well a pair of sneakers is sold depends on this popularity. Let's talk about your style. Your style is more of a 3D player, but the fans prefer attacking players, so that may also result in you not having too many fans. Of course, you will grow and prove yourself, but at the moment, these 2 points are your biggest problems at the moment, which will affect your business value. After Mike finished speaking, Mark was ready to start refuting. He has seen too much of these businessmen's routines. Under their pressure, many young people underestimate themselves and sign a contract that is far less valuable than themselves. But just as he was about to speak, Lin Dong held his arm. Smiled at him. Mark was stunned. What does this mean? Is it to let don't bother Mike to continue? Since Lin Dong wanted to continue listening, he would listen to it first. With Fong Jing here, he would not let Lin Dong suffer. Such an act, in Mike's eyes, became Lin Dong did not want to offend Nike. he said proudly, it seems that it is already half successful. He took another sip of coffee and continued. But in order to show that we Nike like you, we are still willing to give a good contract. 120,000 in 3 years. Don't feel less, you must know that there are so many of the champions Griffin, and we have put you and Griffin on the same level. As you can imagine, we attach great importance to you. Hearing this number, Mark was anxious. 3 years of 1.2 million, except for Griffin, who is worried about his injuries, few people will sign such a contract. And, among the rookies in the class of '09, Griffin's contract is not the highest. Moreover, you must know that there is a huge Xia Kingdom market behind Lin Dong, and such a contract price is too low. But he looked at Lin Dong and found that Lin Dong's face was calm. It is completely untellable whether he is satisfied or dissatisfied. Mike didn't care about anything else, and continued to say to Lin Dong, when you play well, even if the contract does not expire, we will provide you with a super large contract. How? Join Nike. After Mike finished speaking, Lin Dong nodded his head thoughtfully. There was no wave in his heart, and he even wanted to laugh a little. Mike, I've heard all you mean, to be honest, very good. Hearing this, Mike's smile was even better. I thought that things were already inseparable. Unexpectedly, Lin Dong continued, however, I am not satisfied. Very dissatisfied. Lin Dong, who has traveled from the later life, knows a lot about the sneaker contract. So this contract price is completely the price of cabbage. Mike's face suddenly sank. What did you say? I said that I am very dissatisfied with the contract price you proposed, and if you want to cooperate with me, then let your general manager come over and don't engage in any assistance. Then offer a contract that's big enough. Lin Dong's words, yes, Mike and Mark were both stunned. A rookie said such arrogant words to Nike's senior staff, which they had never seen before. Aren't you afraid of offending Nike? Of course, Lin Dong is not afraid, businessmen pay the most attention to interests. I don't care too much about other talents, let alone the mood of a small assistant. As long as Nike thinks they're valuable, they'll continue to want to work with them. Lin Dong stood up directly. Mike, I didn't drink coffee. I don't like this taste, because of this taste. After that, he made a color with Mark and left here. Mark hasn't reacted yet, but he still followed Lin Dong and left. At this time, he had 10,000 questions in his mind that he wanted to ask Lin Do. Episode 75. Out of the coffee shop, Mark immediately followed Lin Dong. At this time, he was worried in his heart, and Nate asked him to come over to help Lin Dong. But as soon as Lin Dong came out like this, he may have broken off contact with Nike later. Will also offend Nike. He didn't even know what to say to Nate. But more, he had doubts in his heart. If it were someone else, he might think that person was crazy. But Lin Dong, he met Lin Dong once before, and he also accompanied Lin Dong to sign a contract with Knicks. So he always thought that Lin Dong was a mature player and very brainy. This behavior made him a little confused. Lin Dong, you were too impulsive just now. His price is really low, but he doesn't have to fight with them so hard. Mark spoke his mind directly. Lin Duo turned his head and smiled. It's okay, they will find me again and give me a contract that is big enough. Mark was confused again. Is it so confident? Mark still wanted to say something. Lin Dong suddenly stopped and said to him, thank you today, accompany me. It's late, next time I'll treat you and Nate to dinner. Seeing sighed and shrugged. Alright. Then I'll go back first. Hey, I'll go first. Halfway through Mark's words, he swallowed them back. He originally wanted to say that if Nike contacted Lin Dong again, he would let Lin Dong find him again. But when he thought of Mike's appearance just now, I am afraid that such a situation would be difficult to happen. Lin Dong looked at the time, it was already 10 o'clock in the evening. It's time to go back to sleep. At this time, Mike was still a little stunned, a rookie who had only played 6 games, and actually just stunned him. I can't see his identity as assistant to the general manager. I thought back to the scene just now. Suddenly angry like foul language. What? Dare to talk to me like that, you really think you're a star? The more Mike thought about it, the more angry he became, and he called Blake when he left the cafe. How? Is there any good news? Has it already been negotiated? Hearing Blake's excited voice, Mike felt a trace of worry appear in his heart. He began to tell Blake the whole thing about the matter. Of course, there is also some oil and vinegar. That's probably how it happened, he took himself too seriously, and let us beg him. Such a player should. Mike hadn't finished speaking. There was an imminent roar from Blake's side. Why are you telling me all this now? Didn't you say with confidence that you would succeed? Now that you make things like this, how can I explain it to the headquarters? Mike suddenly didn't dare to say a word when he was scolded. I can only mumble silently in my heart. What's so good about this kid, the headquarters should pay so much attention to him. The headquarters is afraid that the brain is broken. Damn, Blake, you dog thing, I came for you, and now you are scolding me like that. Of course, these things, Mike only dared to scold in his heart. Still flattering apology. I'm sorry, General Manager, it's all my fault. I thought things too simple. Although Mike was apologizing, Blake's anger did not come down at all. Don't tell me these useless things, UTM is a waste. Now think about how to get things back. Blake cursed for 5 or 6 minutes. Only then hung up the phone. Mike stood outside the door of the coffee shop and burst out a few more foul words. After scolding, he fell into a burst of trouble. He had already made this with Lin Dong, did he still have to lick his face to find him? If you really do this, then what face will you have after that? Moreover, Lin Dong has made it very clear that if he wants to talk to him about cooperation again, let the general manager go to him. Thinking of this, Mike's head grew for a while. Forget it, let's try it with Lin Dong tomorrow. The next day, Lin Dong was going to train in the morning. But he got a call from Mills asking him to go to the general manager's office. So Lin Dong took his training clothes and went to Mills' office. This is the second time Lin Dong has come here, and the last time he came, it was a contract. Mills hadn't seen him since then. Seeing Lin Dong walk into the office, Mills stood up with a smile. Lin Dong, here. Sit. If you are still here on your day off, will you think that my general manager is not very humane? Lin Dong replied with a smile. No, I was fine. After that, he came to the chair in front of Mills' desk and sat down. Mills noticed the training bag Lin Dong was carrying and asked. Are you going to train later? If he saw other people carrying training bags, Mills probably wouldn't think too much. But I heard D'Antoni say before that Lin Dong would train on his days off, so he asked this. Lin Dong glanced at the training bag and said, yes, after making an appointment with Nate and them, they should have arrived at the training hall. Mills nodded in satisfaction. With players like this, won't the team improve? Sure enough, his decision was the right one. Lin Dong, I came to you today to talk to you about the team's problems. Lin Dong nodded and said, okay, you say. Mills sat up straight, put his hands on his desk, and asked solemnly, I want to make a change to the team's personnel, what do you think? Episode 76, Personnel Adjustment? Lin Dong heard this word and thought for a while. He thought of a rough idea, but he didn't say it directly, but asked Mills. I don't quite understand what the word personnel adjustment means. Mills said seriously, I asked too broadly, so let me ask you differently, if the team is going to build a team around you now, who do you want in the league to be your teammates? Now Lin Dong understood. If it's true, the team now has to start building the team around itself. Who you want to be your teammates is a serious question. So Lin Dong did not answer immediately, but thought for a long time before he spoke. First of all, I feel that the team lacks a good point guard, who can organize and score, and I have a candidate in mind. Tell me, which player? Mills looked at Lin Dong curiously. He also knew the team lacked a good defender, and he liked Nash in his own words, but trading Nash was almost impossible. Stephen Curry. A first-year student with the Warriors, he has a good three-point hand, he's very well organized, and his style of play is perfect for small ball play. Lin Dong directly said the name. For Curry, he thinks the team can fight for it. Although the current Curry does not have the strength of an MVP, his strength is not bad. Mills narrowed his eyes and fell into thought. Curry? He has a little impression of this rookie and is also a strong contender for the best rookie this year. And? Mills looked up and asked again. UAE. Summer player UAE League, now with the Nets. I didn't say his name because he and I were from the same country. He's a very athletic talented player, he's fast, he bounces well, and he has a good shot. If the team has him, it can open up space for the interior and be a good defender at the same time. The moment you hear the name of the UAE. Mills only thought that this was brought up by Lin Dong, who wanted to be teammates with the UAE. However, the commercial value of the UAE is not too high. In order to make Lin Dong happy, it is not impossible to trade to the UAE. Mills nodded. Is there anything else? Boris Dior. Dior of the Bobcats, the others did not expect for the time being. The three players Lin Dong said are not the bosses of their respective teams. So if the Knicks want to really trade, it is feasible. Dior is a ball-type power forward, has an excellent view of the big picture, has a three-point range, and can single short opponents in the low post. The defense is underestimated, the confrontation and movement are good. And in the 13-14 season, he won the championship with the Spurs. Curry, UAE, Dior. Mills whispered three names. Okay, I see, you go back to training first. Don't make Nate wait long. Lin Dong stood up, said hello, and left here. After Lin Dong left, Mills called D'Antoni's. For the understanding of basketball, D'Antoni is a little more professional. He didn't know much about all three players, just about their approximate value. As for whether these players are suitable for the Knicks, he still has to ask D'Antoni's. If D'Antoni says yes, he'll start preparing to seek a deal right away. After a while, D'Antoni arrived here. Mills, is there something looking for me? I just called Nash at home. Why did you call him? It's like this, after yesterday's game, Lin Dong mentioned at the press conference that he wanted to train with Nash, study, and I want to arrange this. Mills nodded and said happily, good. You did a good job, we can try our best to cultivate Lin Dong now, he's a good player and deserves it. After speaking, he beckoned towards D'Antoni's. Come, I also have something here to discuss with you, it is about Lin Dong, and it is also about the team. D'Antoni widened his eyes and walked over quickly and sat down in the chair in front of him. Curiously asked, what's going on? Mills began, I just called Lin Dong into the office and asked him which players the team could trade, and he gave me 3 names. Which 3? D'Antoni's eyes lit up, and Lin Dong had always given him the feeling of being steady and mature. The players, he said, must have been decided after careful consideration. Stephen Curry of the Warriors, UAE of the Nets, and Boris Diaw of the Bobcats. These 3 players, except for the UAE League, I am confident that I can trade, and the rest need to do some work. In the case of the UAE League, the overall performance of this player is not very good, but since you want to cultivate Lin Dong, it is not impossible to sign one more him. After hearing these 3 names, D'Antoni began to think quickly in his mind. Thinking back to the performance of these 3 players. Curry is very accurate on 3-point and has good passes, but his figure is a little thin and his defense is poor. UAE United has good physical fitness, and there are also 3 points that are quite good, but playing inside is a bit of a loss, and the positioning is not clear. Diaz is responsive inside, can pass the ball, has 3-pointers, but moves more slowly. After a while, D'Antoni nodded. Good, all 3 players are good. Lin Dong should have thought of shelling tactics to say these 3 players. All 3 of them are very suitable for shelling. When D'Antoni said all 3 players were good, Mills slapped the table. Okay, then I'll try my best to get these 3 players over and build a new Knicks team around Lin Dong. Episode 77, Lin Dong came to the training gym and Nate, Gallinari, and Hill had arrived. Their respective training has already begun. Seeing Lin Dong coming, Nate immediately ran over. A little reproachfully asked, Lin Dong, what were you doing yesterday? Why do that to Mike? Do you know his position at Nike? I'm afraid you'll offend Nike by doing this, Lin Dong said with a smile. It's okay, they will definitely find me again, I am confident. Nate sighed. What do you want me to say? Does it mean that you are confident, or that you think things too simply? Lin Dong put his hands on Nate's shoulders. Oops, you believe me, they definitely came back for me, and it should be soon. Nate still wanted to say something, but seeing Lin Dong's confident appearance, it was difficult to continue to say anything. I can only think that I will call Mike later and apologize for Lin Dong. Lin Dong is not sensible, so it will be like this. As Lin Dong Sr., he could only worry more about him. Just thinking so, another person walked in the arena. Nate was surprised to see the man. That person was Mike, the Nike staff member who talked to Lin Dong about cooperation last night. Mike Lao Yuan just smiled and greeted everyone with one hand. Hello. I didn't expect so many of you to be training on your days off, no wonder your results have been so good lately. Nate, Gallinari, and Hill are all Nike spokespeople. So all 3 of them knew Mike. Mike's sudden appearance made them all look confused. Nate was the first to respond to him. Hey Mike, why are you here? As Mike walked this way, he said, you have recently won 6 consecutive victories. I came to congratulate you and have a casual chat. Mike just wanted to come to Lin Dong today, and when he heard that Lin Dong might be in the training hall, he came directly over. I didn't expect that there would be so many people here. For a moment, he didn't know how to speak. If Lin Dong treated himself like that again and didn't give himself face, wouldn't he be even more faceless? Lin Dong ignored Mike, changed his clothes, took a basketball and went to training. Mike was a little embarrassed, so he had to go and talk to Nate and the others first. You guys train very hard. Yes, since Lin Dong came to the team, he has brought everyone to train together. Oh, Lin Dong, this player is quite good, yes. He will definitely be a superstar in the future. Nate originally wanted to find Mike, but he didn't expect Mike to come over by himself. In that case, he can now explain to Mike what Lin Dong did last night. Then apologize for Lin Dong. But as soon as he was about to speak, Mike spoke first. Nate, the 2 of us have a pretty good relationship, right? Good, very good. At this time, Nate also wanted to try his best to have a relationship with McCraw. Mike pushed Netra aside and whispered. Then you help me talk to Lin Dong, let him forgive me for yesterday's behavior. Yesterday, I went too far. Huh? Suddenly, Nate was stunned. What's going on? Ask Lin Dong to forgive him. Didn't Lin Dong scold him? Why did Mike still have to apologize to Lin Dong? Seeing that Nate did not speak, Mike thought that Lin Dong was too angry. I had to continue. Yesterday it was me who was wrong. I shouldn't have said that Lin Dong was bad, nor should I have given him coffee that he didn't like without asking him what he meant. After I went back last night, I knew that my attitude was a little excessive, and I didn't consider Lin Dong's feelings, so I specially apologized to Lin Dong today. Nate slowly turned his head and glanced at Lin Dong, who was practicing dribbling. Immediately admired Lin Dong's 5 bodies. He really guessed that Mike would come to him. It turns out that it is not young and ignorant, but really confident. Although he didn't know how Lin Dong knew that Mike would definitely come, his evaluation of Lin Dong was much higher. However, whether Lin Dong was angry or not, he didn't know this. He was also not good at helping Lin Dong make any decisions. So he had to shrug his shoulders and show that he couldn't do anything. I can't help this. This is a matter between you and Lin Dong. It's not good for me to interfere, but I can help you call Lin Dong over. No, I'd better go over and find him myself. Hearing Nate say to call Lin Dong over, Mike hurriedly stopped it. Now he is the one who came to apologize. He is passive. How can he wait for Lin Dong to come to him? With Lin Dong's style last night, it was difficult to make the contradiction between himself and Lin Dong even more unsolvable. After talking to Nate, he took a deep breath and walked towards Lin Dong. And a smile immediately changed to his face. Lin Dong, meet again. Lin Dong raised his head slightly. Didn't you come to me? Yes. I came to you to apologize. My attitude was not very good last night, so I hope to forgive me. The price of the contract is a bit low, but we can continue to negotiate. Lin Dong chuckled. You didn't do anything either. No need to apologize. I already said last night, if you want to talk about cooperation, let your general manager come over and talk. Just take a big contract. If this is not the case, I think that you are not sincere enough. In that case, there is no need to cooperate anymore. To be honest, Lin Dong was a little angry last night. The price given by Nike is no longer as simple as the price of cabbage. It's even a bit insulting. And in order to achieve the goal, he also came up with a set of rhetoric, first degrading himself, and then elevating himself. They Nike are very sincere and very optimistic about themselves. Such a routine made him feel a trace of disgust. If you hadn't been a salesman in your previous life, you would know the routine. They also pay a lot of attention to things like NBA contracts, and maybe they will really be persuaded like this. In fact, Lin Dong didn't want to sign a sneaker contract so early, because the system was there. He's only going to get better and better. So if you sign a contract now, you will be a bit of a loss. But since someone wants to come to him to cooperate, then he will listen to it first. If it is good, it is not impossible. But 3 years of 1.2 million, he really can't look at it. Don't worry, we can all talk. Mike was a little scared when he thought of Blake. If he told Blake, let him come to Lin Dong with the contract. Blake was definitely roaring again. So he wanted to try again here in Lin Dong. Lin Dong stopped dribbling and clamped the ball around his waist. He looked straight at Mike with a light smile on his face. Did I not understand enough? Mike had to smile awkwardly, then nodded and left. Nate was on the sidelines, all dumbfounded. He had never added Mike to his look. Only Mike has always been high-spirited. Where will there be such embarrassing times? It seems that he has met an opponent. Episode 78. The team had a game the next day, against the New Jersey Nets. The Nets have had a very poor performance this year, finishing first in the league. So playing the Nets is a must-win game for the Knicks. The only highlight is the confrontation between Lin Dong and the UAE. A derby battle between 2 Siagwa players. If it had been before, there wouldn't even have been many fans watching this game. However, because of Lin Dong's continuous excellent performance, this game still attracted a lot of attention. And Zhuang TV station, after more than a week of preparation, it is also ready to broadcast this game live on this day. The day before the game, Zhuang TV was on the sports news of the night. The game is constantly being advertised. The previous Siagwa derby was Dayo, an Arab league. But with Dayo's injury in the playoffs last season, the derby is gone. Who knows, now a Lin Dong suddenly appeared, recreating the summer derby. And the sports news that night, another special program was made to review Lin Dong's 6 NBA games. The ratings of that night set a record. Many Siagwa fans watched this episode and their hearts were surging. Oh my god! Is Lin Dong really from Sia country? This physical fitness is also strong excessive. Our Siagwa basketball is about to rise, according to Lin Dong's state, sooner or later become a superstar. Maybe it can surpass Dayo. 6 wins in a row, like a dream. Even if you beat a team like the Heat Bulls, and a strong team like the Spurs Suns, the Knicks can't say that this year can surprise them. Previously, the Knicks had few fans in Siagwa. Now the Knicks are also known as a summer home team in the NBA. On the field court, many fans wore Knicks autumn clothes. However, because Lin Dong was born not long ago, his autumn clothes have not yet been sold in China. Not even the copycat yet. At this time, Mentor Su and Mentor Zhang, who had already come to New York, received a call from the leaders of Tylee. I was told that the night's show about Lin Dong set a record for the show. It gave the two strong confidence, but also gave the two extremely pressure. Guidance Zhang. The success of this program shows that domestic fans have paid enough attention to the Knicks, and tomorrow's live broadcast, the two of us must do a good job. Coach Zhang and Coach Su were in the hotel, preparing the live broadcast of the game together. Receiving the call from the leader of the station, Director Su was excited and solemnly said to Director Zhang. Director Zhang was also excited. Yes. Tomorrow there should be more than a few million fans watching us in front of the TV, watching this game, we must not go wrong. Su directed her eyes to look ahead. I didn't expect it. Lin Dong is really competitive, he has achieved such a good performance in 6 consecutive games, and he has led the team to consecutive victories, which is exciting to think about. It's great to see our players in Seoul play like this in the NBA. Director Zhang put down the information in his hand and exhaled deeply. Since Dayo was injured, I didn't expect to see the Seoul Derby, which is really exciting. After tomorrow's game, call Lin Dong and the UAE, and we will have a meal together. After the two finished speaking, they once again plunged into the work preparation. Although it was morning, the mental state of the two was unusually good. Lin Dong slept a little today because the Nets are not very strong, and he also gave himself a little rest. At the time of the team's scheduled assembly, they arrived at the stadium on time. On the other side, Nets players watch videos inside the hotel. Harris joked to the UAE, play with your fellow countrymen today, but play well. Don't be compared to him. Alian smiled, it must be. UAE is a person who is not good at words, and his personality is more introverted, and his communication with teammates is more concise. Not playing in the NBA has a lot to do with his personality. Because I don't communicate much with my teammates, it's harder to integrate into the team. So on the field, the tacit understanding with teammates is not very good. The coach also didn't trust him very much. Because the Knicks have won 6 straight and defeated strong teams like the Spurs and Suns. Became one of the hottest teams in the league, and Lin Dong also became one of the hottest players. It's not the team that everyone looked down on. So, before the game, the Nets were ready long ago. Regarding the Knicks game, there is also a lot of attention. That Lin Dong is really a bit powerful. Blocked Wade, Durant, and even Nash in the last game. Yes, I just thought the defense was strong before, but now I look at it, the attack is not bad, and the efficiency is very high. I really don't understand, how can such a player be undrafted? Tonight's game is not good. UAE sat to the side, watching them chat. He rarely speaks, and he interjects unless someone mentions him. He was looking forward to the fight with Lin Dong. It's great to meet a fellow citizen in this strange country. An hour before the start of the game, Coach Su and Mentor Zhang had already arrived here. The Knicks' home stadium also arranged a studio for them. Looking out from the studio, you can clearly see everything about the stadium. After debugging the instruments in the studio and confirming that there were no problems, the two left the studio. With a cameraman, I came to the Knicks' locker room. Greeting D'Antoni, and they walked into the dressing room. At this point, the camera is live broadcasting. Countless Yagua fans in front of the TV were watching. Zhuang TV has a heart, and it also specially broadcasts to the dressing room. Curious about what the environment is like in the NBA's locker room. I can see Lin Dong again, excited. Because he has been working as a basketball journalist for a long time, he has interviewed many NBA players. Therefore, Zhang coached and knew a lot of Knicks players, entered the locker room, and greeted the players. Then he suddenly saw Lin Dong, who was warming up in place, and his eyes suddenly lit up. The audience in front of the TV also exploded. Seeing Lin Dong, it seems to be warming up. Lin Dong is not wearing clothes, this figure is too awesome. He's also too handsome, so handsome, he plays so well, and he doesn't want anyone to live. Lin Dong twisted his head, and happened to see Coach Su and Mentor Zhang, who came over. Episode 79, Guidance Su, Guidance Zhang. Lin Dong was the first to speak. In his previous life, he liked the NBA, and he didn't watch the game less. But all the fans who like the NBA in Seoul do not know these two teachers. Seeing that Lin Dong knew himself and took the initiative to greet him, Director Zhang and Director Su were happy in their hearts. Somewhere else, it's the best way to describe it. Lin Dong. I didn't expect you to know us. Instructor Zhang spoke first. Lin Dong smiled, who doesn't know you guys who play basketball in Seoul, and often watches you live broadcast. Director Su answered on the side, no, you are much more famous than us. You look at this camera in the back, the fans of the whole Seoul Kingdom are watching you, looking forward to your performance. You first say hello to the fans in front of Seoul TV. Lin Dong looked at the camera behind director Su and immediately revealed a big smile. Then he beckoned to that. Fans of Xiaogua, hello, I'm Lin Dong. Just a greeting, the fans in front of the TV were boiling again. My grass, this sound is too good. I can't fucking a man, I'm too handsome. I thought he was speaking English, but I didn't expect Chinese to speak so tastefully. Love, in the future, it will be Lin Dong's brain-dead fan. After saying hello, Director Su and Director Zhang began the interview. Lin Dong, wait for the match with the UAE, are you looking forward to it? Looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Before I played in the NBA, I used to watch United Brother games, and recently I have paid attention to their teams. Director Zhang smiled. Waiting for the next game, so many fans are watching, what kind of data are you going to play? Lin Dong thought for a while and said with a smile, data can't be forced. Anyway, try to play the best performance, you are modest. Coach Zhang started a joke. At this time, Nate suddenly rushed in front of the camera. The expression was exaggerated, Lin Dong is just modest, he is too strong, and he has exploded me every time in training. He waits for the next game, if he doesn't get 30 points, he will play out of order. As soon as he said this, he immediately amused the three of them. The fans in front of the TV were happy. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect Nate and Lin Dong to have such a good relationship, isn't it? During previous matches, the camera often caught the two of them talking and laughing on the bench. I like the atmosphere in the dressing room. And hearing Nate say this about Lin Dong, the fans were even happier than Lin Dong. As if it was himself who was praised. Then, Hill and Gallinari also came together. Rushed to greet the audience in front of the camera. The atmosphere was immediately hilarious. After spending nearly 10 minutes in the dressing room, Su and Zhang did not follow the players until they entered. At this time, all the Nets players also entered. The pre-match warm-up activity began. The two went straight to the Nets player area and found the UAE. However, the UAE's personality is more dull, and the relationship with his teammates is more general. Therefore, the response was not as strong as when Lin Dong was interviewed. After the interview, Su and Zhang asked the cameraman to pat the fans at the scene. The atmosphere at the scene was particularly high. People are boiling and rubbing shoulders. The fans shouted and screamed. Many fans wore Lin Dong's autumn clothes, shouted Lin Dong's name, and held signs with Lin Dong's avatar. As if this wasn't a regular season, but a playoffs and all-star game. Did the fans in front of the TV see it? There were many fans of Lin Dong at the scene. The sound at the scene was very loud, and everyone was shouting Lin Dong's name. When I speak with Su now, we must be close to our ears to hear clearly. Seeing this, the audience in front of the TV gave birth to a sense of pride. When I saw Lin Dong's report before, I thought it was fake, but I didn't expect Lin Dong to really have so many American fans. We used to like American stars, but I didn't expect that we would have such a player, so many American fans. This popularity is terrible. If you start all-star voting now, it is estimated that he will all be an all-star, because it's close to the race time. So the two returned to the studio and began to prepare. Hello fans in front of the TV, today's live broadcast brought to you by Zhuang TV is the Knicks vs Nets. Both teams have a player from our star country, Lin Dong of the Knicks, and the UAE of the Nets. The Knicks have had a 6-game winning streak recently, while the Nets have suffered a 7-game losing streak. In terms of the current strength of the two teams, there may not be so much suspense about the result, but it is still a game worth watching. The starters of both teams arrived on the pitch in turn, ready to start. The game is going to start soon. Introduce the starting lineup of both sides. The Knicks starting lineup is, point guard Nate, quarterback Lin Dong, small forward Gallinari, power forward David Lee, center Jeffries Lee. The Nets starting lineup is point guard Devin Harris, quarterback Courtney Lee, small forward Chris Douglas Roberts, power forward Arabia League, center Brooke Lopez. Brooks and Jeffries went to the center circle and started preparing for the jumping ball. The referee threw the ball into the air and Lopez dialed the ball. Harris possesses the ball and organizes the offense. The Nets scoring champion and core is Lopez. In a way, Lopez is very similar to Dayo. Good at low-post offense, accurate mid-range projection. The rebounds are weak, and more importantly, compared to the physical beast centers, Lopez is better than the brain. Harris directed his teammates to start running. Teammates pulled to the side to create space for Lopez's side. Harris hoisted the ball high to Lopez to give him a status single. Lopez received the ball and did not immediately release it, but turned his back to Jeffries. Shaking his shoulders from side to side twice, he suddenly turned back and the non-dribbler put his arm around the defender. It came to the basket in an instant, but David Lee immediately made up for it. Lopez had no chance for the first time. And Jeffries behind him followed. Lopez was quick and passed the ball to the UAE in the bottom corner. A connected the ball, adjusted it, and shot directly with 3 points. Swish. Basketball hollow hit. United hit the first sporting goal of the game and it looks like it's a good hand today. After scoring the goal, Coach Sue spoke up for the first time. When the Nets players are still slowly retreating. Gallinari served from the baseline and passed to Nate. Nate received the ball without dribbling and passed it vigorously to Lin Dong, who had run outside the three-point line in the front court. The latter catches the ball and immediately raises his hand for 3 points. Swish. Also responded with a hollow three-pointer. Episode 80. As soon as Director Sue's words fell, Lin Dong returned a three-pointer. The speed was so fast that the cameras on the scene didn't have time to react. Then there was a cheer. The opening game was a three-point match between the two Siagwa players, and the fans in front of the TV were very excited. I grass. Is the Siagwa Derby so hot? Just at the beginning, UAE and Lin Dong each scored a three-pointer. Maybe the two of them can still score points today. It's too strong. Lin Dong is now more and more confident and more confident. Before the Nets players reached the midfield, the Knicks' offense was over. Except for Harris and the UAE, the others began to walk back again. UAE sends the ball to Harris. Again to Lopez, he beat Lopez on his back. Sit in a deeper position, turn forward and hook your hands. With a little bit of luck, the basketball bounced a few times on the edge of the basket and popped out again. Suddenly, the UAE did not know when, and rushed to the basket. Both hands controlled the basketball at once, and directly smashed the ball into the basket. Buckle wins. Knicks offense, Nate dribbling at the top of the arc. Pass the ball to Lin Dong, and Lin Dong passes the ball to Gallinari. Immediately after the pass, he ran around the three-point line to the basket. Gallinari ran the ball to the basket. Everyone looked at the basketball at the same time. Lin Dong appeared in the air, jumped high, and his head exceeded the rebound. Both hands catch the ball, and the body is pulled behind the back, forming a bow shape. Then the basketball was heavily buckled to the basket. Empty dunk wins. The scene was boiling again. I seem to have seen a man flying in the sky. Lin Dong jumped too high, and his head seemed to exceed the rebound. Does the opening have to be so good-looking? The other party scored a three-pointer, Lin Dong had to change a three-pointer, the other party dunked and scored, and Lin Dong immediately returned a dunk. Guidance Su and Director Zhang couldn't hide the excitement in their hearts at the moment. Did the audience in front of the TV see it? The UAE made up for the dunk, and Lin Dong immediately returned a more explosive empty dunk. This bounce, it's terrifying. The head is over the rebound, the top level in the league. Both players showed great individual ability from the start. After Lin Dong landed, he passed by the side of the Arab League. Smiled and said, "Brother Lien, how is it? It's not bad." Lien laughed, "Not bad, not bad. Higher than my jump." The UAE have scored 2 successive attacks and have shown good form. So the Nets also began to deliberately look for the UAE. UAE United received the ball from outside the three-point line, and David Lee hesitated and did not choose to pounce. He decisively shot another three-pointer. Swish. The basketball hit hollow again. The UAE has shot 36% from three-point range this season, which is higher than many outside players. Although there are not many shots, it is still a big threat. D'Antoni explained to David Lee before the game. When defending the UAE, follow out. As a result, David Lee did not follow his arrangement. An anxious D'Antoni shouted off the court, "Keep up, he has 3 points," because among the 3 names that Lin Dong and Mills said, there is the Arab League. So D'Antoni paid extra attention to him and found that his athleticism and shooting were really good. Outside players who can shoot three-pointers, there are very few at this time. Therefore, when encountering an inside lineman who can shoot three-pointers, it is not very good to defend. However, in this era, big players floating on the outside will be called soft eggs. So the UAE also began to like to play inside, or catch the ball on the outside, and the shot is not decisive. Giving up their own strengths and characteristics and playing in a way that they are not good at is one of the reasons why the UAE is not very good. Seeing the performance of the UAE, D'Antoni was a little moved. If the UAE is in its own team, this style of play is indeed quite suitable. A positive attitude, coupled with good mobility, the team's overall defense can also be taken to a higher level. Thinking of this, he felt that Lin Dong was even more unusual. For basketball, there is a way to think about it. It was also suggested by Lin Dong. If you practice hard and discover the advantages of other players, isn't such a player a leader? When it was the Knicks' turn to attack, Lin Dong actively asked for the ball from outside the three-point line. Facing Roberts, Lin Dong made a tentative step and saw that the opponent's center of gravity shifted slightly. Immediately pull out your hand for 3 points. Always Roberts had tried hard to reach out and interfere, but it still didn't have any impact on Lin Dong. Swish. Once again, the basketball went hollow into the net. Immortals fight, is this? UAE Lien and Lin Dong both felt explosive in the opening, 3 shots, none of them missed. This has completely become a battle between the UAE and Lin Dong, neither of them is left behind. This is our Seogwi's players. That's awesome, groove. Actually entered again. The Seogwi fans in front of the TV were completely immersed in a state of enjoyment at this time. Watching NBA games, but seeing 2 Seogwi players crazy, this is something I never thought of. In the past, I used to watch American players score each other, and occasionally I could see 2 O-continent players scoring each other. However, seeing the difference between the 2 Seogwi players was unprecedented. Even the previous derby battle between Dayo and the UAE did not appear such a picture. Coach Su and mentor Zhang are also very proud. See? UAE and Lin Dong have become the dominant players on the field. Lin Dong is now completely the star of the Knicks. He wants the ball, and his teammates will immediately give it over. It's not him, his teammates are looking for him. Every Knicks player gets the ball and first glances at Lin Dong's position. In the past, our country has not had a particularly strong defender, but now that there is, I am so excited. Not only Seogwirin was excited, but the fans at the scene were also very excited. D'Antoni looked at the confrontation between the 2 on the field, and couldn't help shaking his head, feeling a little incredible. The day before, Lin Dong also said that the UAE was in the United States, and the next day, the UAE was on the field and Lin Dong were fighting each other. In the following game, as the 2 teams focused on Lin Dong and the UAE, the magical battle stopped. The Knicks, who were stronger overall, gradually gained the upper hand. They ended up beating the Nets 120-102. Lin Dong scored 39 points on 13 of 19 shooting, a career-high scoring record. Plus 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks super stats. The opposite UAE also scored a double-double of 31 points and 10 rebounds. A wonderful performance was given for this Seogwi derby battle. It's so good to watch this game, seeing 2 Seogwi players achieve such excellent data at the same time. I don't know what to say when I'm excited. These 2 players are Seogwi's treasures, and we look forward to them playing for the country together in the summer and leading the team to achieve good results. And these 2 players are still a combination of one inside and one outside, and the picture of them playing together is beautiful to think about. Director Su and Director Zhang explained excitedly.